तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति।
Chapter 2, verses 41 to 50. व्यवसायिका बुद्धिः एकेह कुरु नन्दन बहुशाखाह्यनन्ताश्च उभयो व्यवसायिनां यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचं प्रवदन्त्यतिपश्चितः वेदवादरता पार्थ नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः कामात्मानः स्वर्गपराः जन्मकर्मफलप्रदां क्रियाविशेषबहुलां भोगैश्वर्यगतिं प्रति भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तया प्रकृतचेतसाम् व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्बन्धो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान् यावानर्थ उदपाने सर्वतः सम्प्लुतोदके तावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्यभिजानतः कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि योगस्य कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते दूरेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धियोगा धनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणमन्विच्छ कृपणाफलहेतवः बुद्धियुक्तो जहातीह उभे सुकृतदुष्कृते तस्मात् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्।
Verse number 46. Yes, something. He's not allowing me to go on. Verses 42, 43, 44. Talks about how desire-ridden actions takes you away from self-realization. The theme of these three verses combined is I don't know whether I said it or not, I am saying it now. The theme of these three verses is even when you come to the higher, your attention is still on the lower. You will go to God and pray to God asking Him to remove your knee pain. my financial problems are not, my financials are not all right. God help me to. So even when I go to the higher, the attention is still on the lower. That's desired and actions. That's all he said. That's the theme. He is explaining it in the way, he is explaining this theme in the way that generation can understand. This generation cannot understand these three verses because the association with the Vedas and the rituals is not there anymore. So these three verses will not really communicate the way in which he really wanted to communicate. So today's, if Krishna were to write a modern day these three verses, he will talk about go to any temple, attend any prayer and listen to that prayer. You don't pray, listen to what others are praying. What are they praying? That's why I gave examples, right from starting a physical ailment. Even in a classroom like this, you can ask, if I come here, I can be peaceful, no sir? If I study Vedanta, I can be happy, no? See, even here, the focus is on the world, the lower. So, in those days, in the times of Krishna, what was happening? That society was very much doing this using the Vedas. So he is ridiculing that practice. He is not ridiculing the Vedas, he is ridiculing those who come to Vedas with the wrong attitude. What is the wrong attitude? In the modern day context, you can give that example. Your blood pressure and blood sugar is high. Do meditation and come back to normalcy. You follow what I am saying? What is that for? Now you do meditation, you will not come back to normalcy and all. But the whole focus is on what? The whole idea is on what? The whole idea is I will not get out of this world. Use your wisdom and give me techniques so that I will be stuck to the world. That's all. In those days they used Vedas, rituals to get this. In the modern day context, it doesn't mean. You follow what I am saying? You understand the theme and then you read the verses, it becomes easy. You follow? Now, sometimes the theme can be very hurtful, very insulting, very painful, because it's like showing the mirror right in front of your face and exposing who you are truly. To rightly understand what you have to do, don't take all this seriously. Listen to it as a good time pass and story and forget it, you will be alright. You follow what I am saying? The theme is what? The theme is, even when you come in contact with the higher, the focus is still on the lower. If I come to these classes, I can be peaceful, no? You understand? The focus is on what? How to become peaceful. Supposing if someone comes and convinces you that there is a better way to gain peace, now what will happen? What will happen? That's all. Because you want peace. That's how you move from one god to the other god also. Someone, you have a knee problem, you keep going to a temple, your knee problem is not solving. Another man comes and says, 3 weeks only I went to that temple. My knee problem just disappeared. Now you will go, you will start going there. You follow what I am saying? So, even when you are in contact with the higher, even when you are going to the higher, the focus is still on the lower. Why this infatuation to the lower? Much ever you hear, much ever you understand, the infatuation to the lower is not leaving at all. Why this? Why this obsession? Why this infatuation? Why this infatuation? Why this obsession?
Because right now I'm completely identified with this different of body mind.
Why this obsession over this lower? Instant pleasure. Attachment.
What a difference.
Belief da. Belief da. She's concluded already. Yeah, belief da. I have given the answer, sir. Go to the next verse. Answer is given already. See, Mullah Nasruddin had a new neighbor. He had a new neighbor. He was living in a very... suddenly he became rich and he moved on to the upmarket area. So, a new guy came there. He is a person who became rich for the first time in his lifetime. He also he bought the house next to him and came there. When you really go to a big house, good house and all, what will you start thinking immediately? You go to a big house, what will you start thinking immediately? What will you start thinking immediately? What will you want to do? Furnished. Adala aayidhu. Furnished and you have entered into the house. And then you will want to do something. What? Have family, party. Sleep. You have not moved into a bigger house at all. You want to do gardening. You will want to start doing gardening now. Vegetables. Oh, so much of space is there. Instead of buying all chemical vegetables from the market, buy your own, make your own, you do that. No. Correct? What you will do. So this man did that. He planted, he bought some flower seeds, some vegetable things and he planted. And they started growing. The flower, the fruits, the vegetables started growing. Along with it, weeds also started growing. Now he didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to handle it. He went to Mullah Nasruddin. What weeds are also growing? I want only. I never planted weeds. I planted flower seeds, vegetables and fruits. Along with it, weed is also growing. How do I understand the difference between the weed and if you have had a garden, you would have known it. I learnt it the hard way. It took me almost a year to actually understand the difference between the weed and the thing. Mullah Nasruddin said, it's very simple. It's very simple to know the distinction between the weed and the flower is very simple. Pull them all out. That which grows by itself is weed. Able to follow? He said, pull them all out. That which grows by itself is weed. For lower, you need not do any effort. It is there already. That's why it's so. Now come to the Mullah Nasruddin garden la utrum ipo. Yeah, now you start thinking maybe after the class I should go and buy organic vegetables. No, don't think. Now come to the concept. What is it? The lower doesn't need any effort. It grows by itself. Anything higher needs lots of effort. That's why very difficult to associate with the higher, because it involves It involves not ordinary effort. It involves lots and lots of effort, tremendous effort it requires. For the lower doesn't need any effort. You don't have to write an entrance exam, go to a university and learn how to get angry and come back. No? You don't have to do that, correct? You don't have to do that. To be jealous, to be greedy, you don't need any coaching. It grows by itself. Number one. Number two, how much ever you weed it out, how much ever you cut it, how much ever you weed it out, it keeps coming back. Here, in Vedanta, when it comes to the higher, how much ever effort you put, it's not. Verses 42, 43, 44. That's all you say. If I skip something and go now, don't ask me to repeat. If I repeat it, it will be very hurtful. Because he is saying something very. What is it? Even when you come in contact with the higher, the attention is still on the lower. Because it's so, you don't need any effort at all for that. Coupled with that is, whatever little bit of effort you put, you add in that direction. As it is, the lower doesn't need any. Are you able to follow? How complicated, how you complicate it? As it is, the lower doesn't need any effort, attention, it grows all by itself. Remember Mullah Nasruddin advised to his friend. He said, like that story very much. He says, pull them all out. That which grows by itself is weed. It grows by itself, and whatsoever little bit of effort you put here and there, that effort is also in the direction of the lower. No intellect. There is no intellect. That's what he said. You follow? The three things. And why he spoke about the Vedas, I will come to it later. Get the theme. Once you get the theme, it's clear. Are you okay? Is it okay till now? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You were giving the example of the wheat, how it comes again and again. In our life also, like if we want to do the higher, we need the weeds of jealousy, anger, all that has to go. We need peace of mind.
Correct.
Now you are saying if we focus on getting peace of mind, our focus is not on the higher.
Correct.
But without peace of mind, I cannot focus on the higher.
Correct.
Without removing the weeds,
Correct.
like the flowers, the saplings will not flower.
Correct.
So it seems to be very difficult. I mean, what do I do?
அது எனக்கு தெரியாது. I don't know. That is not my problem. I am only. If you ask me what to do now, I don't know. I am only trained only to not to give advice. I am trained only to give a discourse. That's all. What to do now, I don't know. It's faulty logic to say that peace of mind is needed for the higher. If you are already in peace, if you have already attained peace, you are already in the state of higher. What are you searching after that? So, it's faulty logic to say that the moment I am peaceful, I can associate with the higher. It's wrong. It's a faulty logic. What is the fault in that? As long as anger, jealousy, greed and all is there, you can never be peaceful. Correct? Anger, jealousy, greed and all is gone completely. You are very peaceful. And what is higher after that? What is higher after that? Are you able to follow? She is saying the question that she is asking is what everyone believes. Sometimes she articulates it very well, that's all. And everyone has the same thing. It's the same thing. What? First thing. First, I will become peaceful, sir. First, I will become self-sufficient, sir. First, I will become contented, sir. Then, you can use any word. It doesn't really matter. The focus is on what? You get some peace. You attain some peace. To get peaceful, to attain peace, you need to attain peace, you need to negativities. The effort that you put to remove the negativities is what? You need to make an effort to remove the negativities. What effort you have to put to remove the negativities is what he is talking about. The higher peace comes by itself. Now, negativities is not going to go away by me sitting and doing a ritual. Negativities is not going to go away by me sitting and crying in front of an idol. My negativities is not going to go away by me falling at the feet of an master. I need to make an effort to be rid of the negativities. But the logic is, unless I remove the negativities, I can't. Are you able to understand the vicious cycle? What is the starting point? What is the starting point? Effort. What is the starting point? Effort is the starting point. Very difficult to put that effort, because very difficult is to start the effort. Very difficult is to start the effort. It's like uphill. It's like uphill and downhill.
The effort and focusing on the higher.
Yes. Effort means the attention is on the higher. You follow what I am saying? The effort means the focus is on the higher. Okay? Now, why he speaks about the Vedas? In those days, there was a phonetic attachment to the assumed benefits that the Vedas is going to give, not to the Vedas. In those days, there was a phonetic attachment to the Vedas. Not that they are attached to the Vedas or the rituals. They are attached to the benefits that they think they are going to get. So, hoping for that benefit, wishing to get that benefit, they were doing whatever is prescribed. Whatever is prescribed in the Vedas, they went according to the prescription. All along the focus is on the benefits. All along the focus is on benefits. Unless the benefits are told, you will never start. Unless the benefits are told. That's why even in the devotional hymns, there is the Palashruti at the end. Palashruti means benefits. Pala means fruit. They talk about the fruit, and that is what will be inspiring you to do the whole thing. It's called Palashruti. Ekakale, if you do it once, you will get this. Dvikalam, if you do it twice, you get it. If you do it thrice, and people are doing it for millions and millions of times, nothing is happening. Why? It is it's more like a bait. It's more to make you come inside. The moment you have come inside, they say, leave it. Now that you have come inside, drop it. You will say, you cheated us, sir. We came in only, we were attracted by the fruit and I came in. After coming in here, you are asking us to drop the fruit. We will drop you only. That's what happens everywhere. It is more like, it's like the child is refusing to take the medicine because it's bitter. It is bitter. So, a sugar coated pill. The medicine is going to be bitter. Medicine is going to be bitter only. But then, the child will not take that bitter medicine. It will be more comfortable staying with the disease. The boy went to the dentist. The receptionist was there. The dentist wasn't there. So he asked, where is the dentist? Young boy. The receptionist said, he has gone out. He will come back very soon. He said, tell me when he will go out again. Are you able to follow are you able to understand what the child is asking? He is asking, tell me where he will go again so that I will come at that time. What does that mean? What does that mean? He is having the decayed tooth, staying in that pain for 24/7, and extraction is going to be less pain. Carefully follow. Compared to the 24/7 pain, it is a less pain. But the child cannot understand. You will stay with the decayed tooth pain, but you will not go to the doctor. So out of compassion, out of love and affection, the child has to be enticed. We are all children. Don't get insulted now. We are all children. We need some enticement. Just as the child needs an enticement to go to the dentist. Have you ever seen it? People will stay with the disease. Injection they will not take. Compared to the pain of the disease, what is the pain of an injection? Are you able to follow? All the tooth will get decayed. You will live in excruciating pain, but you will not agree for extraction. That's the ego. That's the ignorance. It will stay in pain. It will do anything to avoid the pain of. It will do anything to avoid the pain of what? Extraction. For the child believes extraction is more painful than that. Now, what is more painful? Is the decayed tooth more painful or extraction is more painful? As a parent, what you will do? Assume, okay, at least everyone is a parent here. Everyone I am saying, I don't know really. The child has a decayed tooth and in pain. Extraction is also painful. Between the two, which is more painful? Staying with the decayed tooth. The enlightened master understands that. You are staying with the decayed ego, that is more painful than the pain of removal of the ego. Now, the child will refuse to enter A dentist. So somehow you have to bring the child. That's all they are doing. So they say, Palashruti. This is what you will get, this is what you will get, this is all you will get. Then the child comes and sits on the chair and gets angry at you. The child will sit on the dentist's chair and it will get angry at you. Oh, you cheated me, I trusted you, mother, you. Now, henceforth, I will not trust you anymore. Now, you will not start crying along with the child and say, let's go back. No. What you will do? You will tell the dentist, tie her to the chair and extract. For you understand, between the two, what is greater pain? What is the dangerous pain? You understand? Are you able to follow? That's what Vedas are doing. We are like that child, going to the dentist and asking. We are like that child going to the dentist and asking, please tell me when he will not be there, so that I can go and tell my mother, what? I went to the doctor. Doctor is not there. Who is the child cheating? Who is the child cheating? Causing injury to itself. The child doesn't know it. Child doesn't know it. Those who knows it is trying to help the child. Yeah. If you don't understand anything, understand this example at least. I'm also coming up with new examples, no? All the problems boils down to only one thing. All the problem boils down to only one thing. What? All problems boil down to the mother of all problems. You are talking about you are not talking about the mother. The mother of all problems. Ignorance. Ignorance is the problem. What is ignorance? The decayed tooth is causing. Ignorance is the problem. Ignorance is the root of the mother of all diseases. The mother of all sins is ignorance. And a human being will not do anything to get rid of his ignorance. For he doesn't realize that he is ignorant. You don't realize that you are ignorant. With all your attainments, with all your achievements, with all your degrees, with all your wisdom, you are still ignorant. That understanding. If at all you want to call something as understanding, what understanding? This is this understanding. Are you able to follow? To get you in, they have to give you a sweet coating. What is that sweet coating? Palashruti. And you get enticed. You come here and then you know you are stuck here. Because you get addicted, you can't go also. Neither can you stay here and follow what is being said. Neither can you leave also. Neither can you leave. Now what does it mean? If I don't come for a class, I feel very guilty. I feel something is missing. You simply got addicted, that's all. Another new addiction. You follow? The mother, the root is ignorance, that's all. The ignorant man thinks he is wise. The ignorant human being thinks he is knowledgeable. The paradox of life. The paradox of life. The wise man says, I don't know. The ignorant man says, I know. Whereas, the wise man should say, I know. And the ignorant man should say, I don't know. It's a paradox. See, in the deepest core, even for a split second, if you can realize that you are ignorant, you will change. In the deepest core, you think you know. All that you need is, fundamentally I know, sir. All that I need is how to implement it, that's all. If you have known it, you will know how to implement it. If you do not know how to implement it, you don't know it. But very difficult is to say, I don't know. What is the connection to Vedas now? Studying, memorizing, understanding, repeating the Vedas makes you to believe you know it. So all these people thought they know it. And Krishna is mocking at that. Krishna is mocking at that so-called knowledge. Krishna is mocking at the so-called knowledge. You follow? He is mocking at that. On what basis Arjuna gave a discourse to Krishna? You will never find a Upanishadic student going and giving a discourse to the master. He will go to the master and say, he goes. On what basis Arjuna gave a discourse to Krishna? He thought he know. On what basis? He has studied the Vedas, he has understood all this, and he thought he knows. Not being personal or insulting or anything. See, even here in this classroom, it's not only me. Given a mic and a platform, every one of you can give a discourse for hour and a half. It's not difficult. You know that? You can give a discourse. That will make you to believe that you know it. What is the proof of knowing? What is the proof of knowing? The proof of knowing is the weeds doesn't grow by itself anymore. That is the proof of knowing. The weeds doesn't grow by itself anymore. How much ever you resolve not to get angry, you keep getting angry. How much ever you resolve that you should not be jealousy, you still get jealousy. It grows off irrespective of your effort, irrespective of your weeding, it's still growing all by itself.
Can I think about the past at least? Because I'm trying hard.
Yes, that's all you can do. Try hard. All that he is saying is, try hard not to fulfill the desires. Try hard to convince yourself that desires ought to be eliminated. Make an effort to convince yourself that. But then all the effort is always to fulfill the desires. She is saying, I can only put effort. Looks like I am not even on the path. The way that you are explaining all this, looks like I am not even on the path. What is it that I can do? I can only put effort. For which I said, effort means, what is effort? Put your effort in what direction? To convince yourself that desires ought to be eliminated. Make an effort to convince yourself that. Are you able to follow? But all our efforts are to, sir, I don't ask anything for myself, sir. I don't have any desires for myself. I only ask for others, sir. If you have understood asking is bad for yourself, what makes you to think asking for others is good? If you have understood wealth is useless to you, what makes you to think wealth is useful to the others? Are you able to follow? But then people come and say, I don't ask anything for myself. I only ask for somebody else. Values are still there only. Are you able to follow what I am saying? See, if you have understood wealth as useless to you, what makes you to believe that wealth is useful to the others, and that too to those whom you love most? So in effect, what are you actually doing to those whom you call as you love the most? What are you actually doing then? Giving them useless things. And you think you have done service. The unwise, he says. These are all unwise. Unwise means, unwise is a very refined way of saying fools. Unwise is a very refined way of saying you are a fool. Are you able to follow? See, otherwise you will not know what effort means. If you say put effort, don't ask. You will go back and say, I have never asked anything for myself. I only ask for, I only wish the welfare of the world, sir. Like Krishna has said in the Gita. And you and Krishna becomes on the same plane straight away. If you understand something as useless to you, you will not ask that for others. If you are asking that for others means, effort is what? Now, what is effort? Effort is to understand all this. Effort is to understand. Effort is what? You sit and reflect and reflect and reflect. Think and think and think to develop this understanding. Once you develop this understanding, it stops. Are you able to follow now? If something is useless to you, see, all these I used to think. Even now I keep thinking. If I say something is useless to me, if I love someone, what I should do? What I should do? I should tell them also it is useless. They might agree, they might not agree. They might accept, they might not accept. But then, you have understood it as useless. To me it is useless, but at least to them it is useful, no? So I give. You are not giving, you are simply emptying your cupboard so that you can acquire something fresh. You are simply emptying your cupboard, that's all. Able to follow? Unwise. All this they do, and they quote the scriptures saying that I am following the scriptures. All this they are doing, which is totally unconnected to the scripture, and yet they say I am only following the scripture. Is it okay? Shankar. Okay, va? Veda Sapateva Sulabhu, sir. The highest knowledge. It's not just ordinary knowledge. It's not sugar-coated pill, sir. It's not just a sugar-coated pill. It's not such a cheap thing. It's not that. The highest knowledge. The highest knowledge. The recordings of the enlightened masters. That's what Vedas is. And you come in contact with that Vedas, and what are you using it for? What are you using it? That's what he's saying. You come in contact with something extraordinary, valuable, and what are you using it for? Ramana Maharshi has said it very clearly. You will come to an enlightened master and you will not know what to ask him, he said. You will come to an enlightened master and you will not know what to Ask him. You will go to the Vedas. What is the Vedas? The highest knowledge. The enlightened masters, the great men of the past, present, future, they all have a great regard for the Vedas, the Vedanta, the Upanishads. Why? It's not an emotional, sentimental infatuation. It's not an emotional attachment. It's not a sentimental attachment. It's not an infatuation. Then what is it? Again it boils down to the same understanding. What is the understanding? That which cannot be communicated. How much of effort they are making it to communicate. The Vedas do that. The Upanishads do that. When you are in touch with that highest, what are you doing? Business formula from Upanishads. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, good or bad. You see according to management principles from Bhagavad Gita. What management thing? Get rid of the desires. Now what management is there? Or the ultimate management is to eliminate all your desires. Are you able to follow? How to fulfill the desires? When they are saying get rid of the desires, you will come and ask how to fulfill the desire. Unwise, rejoicing in the letter of the Vedas, obsessed with desires, with heaven as the ultimate goal. Heaven as the ultimate goal means enjoyment. See, anyway, life means you have to be peaceful and happy, no sir. Who told you that life means happiness and peace? Life means effort. Life means service and sacrifice, not happiness and peace. Happiness and peace becomes a byproduct. That's not the goal of life. That's not the destination of life. What is the destination of life? What is the goal of life? Service and sacrifice. A person who is serving and sacrificing incidentally will be peaceful. You don't serve and sacrifice for attaining peace. You will never get peace. Because the moment you want peace and you start using service and sacrifice and service as a technique, now you will ask, what is a better way, sir? Is there a shorter way? What is the practical way? What is the practical way? Now all that you are saying till now is impractical. You follow? With heaven as the ultimate goal. Heaven as the ultimate goal means they think life means you have to be peaceful. Life means you have to do that which you like to do, no. Life means you have to do that which ought to be done, not which you like to do. Because that which you like to do 5 years back is not what you like now. What you like now, you might not like 5 years later. No, what is it that you ought to do? You follow what I am saying? That which you liked when you are a child is not what you like now. Are you able to follow? Therefore, heaven as the ultimate goal. Heaven as the ultimate goal means enjoyment and satisfaction as the only goal and purpose of life. What do? You do so many things. And you quote the scriptures. That's what he says. Obsessed with desires, with heaven as the ultimate goal, but they will do the rituals sincerely. They will do it according to the prescribed according to the prescribed formula. What is prescribed formula? If in all normal days, pressure cooker is the right way of cooking. On the ritual day, what becomes the correct? See, for normal days, what is that? Non-stick. Yes, it is non-stick. We are forgetting that. Non-stick is the ideal. Now, on a ritual day, you have to use according to the prescription. But all ulta results produce. Prescription, they do everything according to the prescribed rituals. Everything is done according to the prescription, but the results are all contrary. The results are all contrary. That's why I remember I spent 4 classes on that previous verse. It doesn't produce contrary result. Neha vikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate. It doesn't produce contrary result. All these are producing contrary result. Svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. I can talk for another 1 more year also. As it is lot of complaint that I am very slow versus I am not completing fast. So I have to rush. You follow? Neha vikramanashosti. It does not produce contrary result. All your actions are producing contrary result. But if you look at it, you will be doing everything according to how it has been prescribed. Never can you pause and think, somewhere fundamentally I am going wrong. That's all these verses are. Okay? Yeah. Fundamentally I am going wrong means, when I do a prayer, I need to ask, what am I praying for? That is going to the fundamental. I can pray for rains to come because I am having water problem. The man in Assam will pray rains to stop. Now God is confused because he can't give. Now he has to give rains according to the geography. He has to give rains. Over Chennai, open the tap. Over there, close the tap. When I am praying, what am I praying? What am I asking? That is going to the fundamentals. Still deeper, what is prayer itself? Still deeper, is there any necessity to pray at all in the first place? All this you cannot think. Why? Because you are so obsessed with the desire. Someone has told you, you do this prayer, your desire will get fulfilled, and that's it. Are you able to follow? You are so caught up, you are so obsessed with the desire. You are so caught up, you are so obsessed with the desire. Someone in that drunken state comes and tells you that do this prayer, your desire will get fulfilled, and you also believe in it. And then you come and say, that fellow cheated me, sir. All that he told me to do, I did it to perfection. Results are all contrary. The results are all contrary. Something is fundamentally wrong. Are you able to follow? Fundamentally, what is right? I said it before, I am saying it again. You know that you are on the right track when the weeds doesn't grow by itself. When the weeds are growing all by itself, in spite of your efforts, you have still fundamentally wrong. Are you able to follow? How much you are cleaning the garden. Next morning you wake up, the weeds are growing again. You have not done. There is something fundamentally wrong. You know that you are on the right track when the weeds, at least the intensity of the weeds are lessening, reducing. Are you able to follow? What is the weeds? Jealousy, anger. There are only 5. I have said it in the past. There are only 5. What is that 5? Anger, greed, arrogance, envy, fear. Correct. Fear. These are the 5 things. How much ever you try to remove these, it keeps coming. Krodha, Bhaya, Mada, Matsarya, and what is the last one? Lobha. Correct. These 5 keeps appearing again and again and again. It means fundamentally something is you have not yet. It means you have not yet hit the root. You have not yet come to the root. You are still meandering. Okay? Fulfilling desires. Still looking to fulfill desires only. In the name of eradicating desire, see, does anyone, even here, sincerely understand that you are obsessed with any desire? You don't. You can't. You always believe what? You always believe, sir, others might be, but not me. Or, look at me. Isn't my Tejas slightly better than yours? Isn't it slightly better than yours? What obsession I am having towards anything? Looks like you don't have any. Looks like you don't have any obsession. Looks like you don't have any ignorance. But weeds are there in plenty. Weeds are there in abundance. The root. Are you able to follow? Still trying to fulfill. This is called desire-ridden actions. Desire-ridden actions takes you away from the path of self-realization. Having said how the desires takes you away from the path of self-realization, now he is saying, what is the right? What is the right? What is the right path? What is the right path? Whenever he talks about the right path, in the beginning itself he makes it clear that don't get obsessed with the path. Whenever he talks about the path, such a wonderful teaching. First thing they have to say is first thing they should say is get involved. Do it sincerely. Do it like this. Do it like that. That's what they should say. But he doesn't do that. First thing he says is, don't get obsessed to the path for which a wonderful example is given. Verse number 46 of chapter 2. Verse number 46 of chapter 2. To an enlightened Brahmana, to a man who has attained this wisdom, all the Vedas is of as much use as a pond where there is a flood of water everywhere. What is the use of Vedas? He has no use for it. It means what? When you are getting into it, don't get obsessed with it. Why he has to caution you in the beginning is because otherwise you will leave one obsession and take up another obsession. You will leave that obsession and you will take up another obsession here. Therefore, he cautions you in the beginning itself. What is the use of all this? To the enlightened Brahmana, what is the use of the Vedas? The whole place is flooded. Will you still go to a well searching for water? Will you still go to a well pond looking for water? That is an enlightened man. Who is an enlightened man? No longer needs the Vedas. No longer needs the Vedas. That is growth. You should be grateful to your parent. You should not be still in need of your parent. Are you able to understand the difference? At one stage in life you need the parent. At another stage in life you should not still be in need of them. You should become self. That's all he said. You need it, but then you should become self-sufficient too. When we are an infant, and we are all infants once. When we are an infant, we have to live on the mother's milk. We have to live on the mother's milk. It's okay to do it then. At 50, I can't complain to my father. What have you done to me? My father hasn't left any estate for me. At 50, I can't complain. It means what? It means I didn't do. So, you have to be grateful to the parent, but you should not be in need of it. Are you able to follow? Same thing he is saying. To an enlightened man, he is no more in need of Vedas. When he says he is no more in need of Vedas, means he has become wise by himself. His gratitude will still remain, just as your gratitude to the parents will remain, but you have become you have become. So first thing he makes it clear is become. Don't develop another obsession here. Having left the worldly obsession and come here, and you develop another obsession here. With this background, if you look at the so-called religiosity today, it's another kind of obsession only. Leave that obsession and pick up another obsession. To an enlightened Brahmana means a wise one, not a Sthita Prajna. Understand the difference? Brahmana is not a Sthita Prajna. He is going to come later. Sthita Prajna, he is going to become wise. Even at that Brahmana level, he doesn't need the Vedas anymore. Not an ordinary Brahmana. He is an enlightened Brahmana. Who is a Brahmana? One who walks in the path of Brahman is a Brahmana. Brahmani charati iti, he says. That's the root. Who is the Brahmana? What is the meaning of that word? One who is walking in the path of Brahman. One who is walking in the path of Brahman means what? Pursuing the spiritual courses. Pursuing the spiritual courses. Making an effort to identify his areas of ignorance and removing that. He is a Brahmana. To that Brahmana, to such a person, Vedas is of no use. Like he gives Vedas is of no use, now you will think, you will straight away drop Vedas now only. Anyway it is not useful, no sir. Edukadallam time wasted. No. It is useful and yet it is not useful. Now that this is an incomplete example, a better example is the pole vault that he gives. It's not that this is an incomplete example. But the pole vault communicates it completely. You cannot cross the bar without the pole, neither can you cross the bar with the pole. Because to reach to that height, you need the pole. So, you cannot cross the bar without the pole, neither can you cross the bar with the pole. The pole vault. Example, the pole vaulter uses because he has to cross that height. What is that height? What is the height that he is trying to jump over? Pole vault illa. Ignorance. Pole vault illa how much of height he is trying to cross na eliminating the desires na Olympic gold medal kudupanga avanukku. What height he is trying to cross? You have to do guesswork, but you can't say I don't know. You have to do guesswork. No, don't do guesswork. Ganesh, 6 meters. Minimum is 6 meters. Correct. Minimum is 6 meters. And then they go on. Now, 6 meters you can't jump over. It's not a high jump. So you need something to raise you to that height. That's the pole. So he says, you cannot cross the bar without that pole. Because it is the pole that takes you to that height. Oh, the pole took me to this height. I can't leave this pole. I am so grateful to the pole. And holding on to the pole, neither can you cross the bar with the pole. That's all he is saying. The pond. An enlightened person means in the relative sense. Don't take it as because he is talking about desireless actions leading to self-realization. He is not talking about the description of an enlightened man. Don't misunderstand. Are you able to follow? Description of an enlightened man is going to come later. Here it is desireless actions taking one to self-realization. So what does it mean, enlightened Brahmana? In the relative sense. The relative sense, he is an enlightened Brahmana. All types of spiritual practitioners make use of these Vedas. The Karma Yogi makes use of a particular portion of the knowledge. The Bhakti Yogi makes use of another particular portion of the knowledge. The Jnana Yogi makes use of another particular portion of the knowledge. And since you have to do all the three, you make use of all the three. You raise yourself to that height. So the idea of you, the purpose of you starting all this is to raise to that height. Therefore, don't develop attachment to the pole. Use it. These practices guide them towards self-realization. It's a practice meant for taking you to self-realization. After you reach a particular height, you will know exactly what to do and you will go by. To such a person, the prescribed spiritual practices are as much use as the pond. He is not saying no use. That you have to derive. He is only saying it is as much use of what? Where there is water everywhere. What is the use of pond? Whatever be its use. Pond is useful only when there is no water in all other areas except that. Then only pond is where there is water everywhere. There is no use to the pond. Similarly, these ritualistic portions, these portions becomes redundant to that man who has come to that height. Till you come to that height, use it. Use it with without attachment. Use it with, do it with sincerity, Shraddha. Do it with Shraddha. Half-hearted attempts, half-hearted actions doesn't take you anywhere. Do it fully. How to do it fully? The following verses. 47 put.
कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः
Your right is in action only, never to the fruits. Let not the fruit of action be your motive, nor let your attachment be to inaction. Even those who doesn't know Gita know this verse. Very, very famous, oft-quoted verse. What is it? Your right is in action only, never to the fruits. Let not the fruit of action be your motive, nor let your attachment be to inaction. Previous verse he said, you have to do it, you have to do the path, follow the path sincerely. What is sincerely following it means? You have understood the law. What is the law? Your right is in action, never to the fruits. Unconcerned about the fruits, you do what ought to be done now. That's what he says. Your adhikara, your right is to do only the karma, the action. Your right is to the action, not to the fruit. At this point, we move away from Krishna. We say, you go your way, I go my way. I am doing the action only for the fruit. Your right is in action only, never to the fruit. My right is only to the fruit. Action is a tool to the fruit. Able to follow? The spiritual practitioner has the opposite understanding. You are not interested in the action. The human being is not interested in the action, but does the action because the focus is on the fruit. Here he says exactly the opposite. The ways of the world and the ways of wisdom is exactly the opposite. That's why don't mix up both. Don't take this and put it there. Don't take that and put it here. Both are opposite. The way of the world is first fix that, and then do. Here he says, do that which you ought to do. Do that which you ought to do. Because the assumption here is what? The assumption here is who is pursuing all this? Who is doing all this? He has already said it in the previous verse. Who is doing all this? Who is pursuing all this? Not ordinary Brahmana. Enlightened Brahmana. The wise one. Don't miss him. If you miss him, all these verses will be very confusing. So always keep him in the background. If you miss him, how can I do it, sir? No. Whether you do it or not, he is not saying. He is only talking about that wise. Yeah. So don't ask me how to practice and all. He is saying what that wise? That enlightened Brahmana will do it. That's why he first sets his platform clear, so that you don't ask any so that you don't ask any clarification at all. Yeah. So an enlightened, who is it? What is, he has understood. What does he understand? The law of life. The law of life in relation to action. The law of life in relation to action. The law of life in relation to emotion. The law of life in relation to knowledge. He is going to talk about all the three. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. That's all it is. The law of life in relation to action is called karma yoga. The law of life in relation to emotion is called bhakti yoga. The law of life in relation to knowledge is called jnana yoga. The enlightened man has understood that or following that, whatever be it. In relation to action, what it is? First thing, get rid of your attachment to inaction. That's the starting point. Fruit lang comes much later. Read the verse in the order. Go by the law. Go by the principle step by step. Let not your attachment be to inaction. First step. Do not be attached to inaction. What does it mean? Are you looking forward for Friday evenings or Monday mornings? As the first thing, let not your attachment be to inaction. What does it mean? What are you looking for? Your attachment is to inaction and you want to act so that you can quickly get into inaction. So first thing he says, what? The law of action is what? Get rid of your attachment to inaction. He says, get rid of your attachment to inaction. You will become very attached to the fruit of the action. A wonderful analysis. You get attached to the fruit of the action. So he says, do not be attached to the fruit of action also. For your right is in action only. Read the verse in the ulta way. Then it becomes clear. First thing you have to get rid of is what? Attachment to inaction. How do you know that you are attached to inaction? How do you know that you are attached to inaction? You can't repeat what you say. Something. Boredom. Want rest. Want holidays. What is attachment to inaction means? What is in it for me? Attachment to inaction means I want to be peaceful, sir. That's all. Everyone wants to be happy and peaceful, no? This is called attachment to inaction. This is attachment to inaction because the fundamental misunderstanding is what? Happiness, peace lies in not doing. For doing is uphill. அதுதான் அவ்வளோ பெரிய அந்த ஸ்டோரி ஃபார்மர் முல்லா நசருதீன் டென்டிஸ்ட் எல்லாம் சொன்னது இதுக்கு. Uphill. Doing is uphill. Therefore, the basic nature of ignorance, the fundamental nature of ignorance is an attachment to inaction. What is attachment to inaction means? How do you know that you are attached to inaction? I want to be peaceful, so let me get into action. You will not get into action, no? I want to be peaceful. What should I do? Stop doing. So, first thing that you need to overcome in life is attachment to inaction. When you overcome, whatever you do to overcome that, now assume that you have overcome that. How easy la, but at least theoretically you assume. Now that you have overcome that, What is the next obstacle? Attachment to the fruit of action. When will I get it? How will I get it? Will I get it in the way that I want it? You get attached to the fruits of the action. The enlightened Brahmana has no such problem because he has understood. What has he understood? Your right is in action only, never to the fruits. Never to the fruits. Never to the fruits of action. I will take up this verse again next week. I want to move away from the previous verse. Adukosram. Illanna Shankar will again he'll say go back. Now when will I go forward? We will take up this verse again next class. But the primary thing to understand is what are the principles behind the law of action. First thing, attachment to inaction. A human being is fundamentally attached to inaction. Fundamentally attached to inaction. How do you know that you are fundamentally attached to inaction? Looking forward to peace and happiness. Pleasure or happiness lies in the garb of work. Ramatirtha. No maybe. Pleasure and happiness lies in the garb of pleasure and happiness lies in the garb of intense work is rest. But I am retired, sir. I want to work. I am retired. No one wants me. What to do? Even at your level, you can still keep working. All along you are working because they are giving a salary. Not that you are interested in the work anymore. You follow what I am saying? How you alone can keep getting salary? Others also have to get. No. That's why they fixed a retirement age. It has got nothing to do with opportunity to work. Whenever we talk about action, we always say there is no opportunity, sir. Attachment to, at your level, even an invalid with no legs and hands also has something he can do. But then the problem is attachment to inaction. So first thing is get rid of your attachment to inaction. Number one. Number two is if you move out of inaction, you fall into another pit. What is another pit? Attachment to the fruit of action. Enlightened Brahmana has the right understanding. What? Your right is in action only, never to the fruits. Karmanyevadhikaraste mapaleshu kadachana. Your adhikara is only to karma, not to the fruit. Let not the fruit of action be your motive, nor let your attachment be to inaction. Seriya? I will continue this verse again next class, and all clarifications we'll take up later. Okay?